My question. I've been one that have seen, I know quite a few of the those advocates, and I know them because of the work they do, not personally. Being an official, I've seen them control crowds at different basketball games and other entities after school over in the Northeast area, even though I live in Clackamas. And I was sorry to hear, matter of fact, I made a phone call to Fred and his staff regarding that issue. I hope that we will be able to reestablish that bond that we have made between the community and Trimet by using those advocates rules.
I have no children of my own, and I often hear of my friends and neighbors tell me what it's like when they send their children off to school, different benchmarks. I've been involved with the coalition for 18 years. I was there when the program started. So I'm actually visualizing a 15-year-old child of mine being cut loose, and I now can relate to that sense of loss, and you get concerned about what the total impact is to the broader community with regards to this. But I thank you for your kind words and observations.
Yeah, the Rider Advocate program is one that I hated to see go to, but refresh me my mind again. What was the total funding for that, and how did it work, again, between the two?
The total funding, I want to say 275, about. Sorry. The total funding, 475. About 475,000. What we had done is entered into a contract with Northeast Coalition, and they then ended up recruiting the actual individuals, managing it, deploying, and all other things under obviously provisions within the contract. This was probably, all the decisions we had to make for cutting a service and others are always difficult, but this one was one of the most difficult. Let me be absolutely clear with everyone, and I'm meeting actually with Ron Page on Monday morning, but we think that the Rider Advocate program has been very, very successful. It is a very difficult decision to be able to make this, and certainly, as requested, we would like to be able to see the reinstitution of this type of an approach, because we think that the community, not policing, but presence for people who are knowledgeable about, oftentimes know the children, the kids that are there, or their parents, or their guardians, is a very effective tool. But this was a very tough decision. We would have hoped that we could have continued at that 25% level. That just, I think the coalition concluded that he just couldn't really operate it. I have been in conversations with Dan Saltzman to see if there are ways to be able to at least continue parts of this. I think my guess is we'll talk some about that on Monday as well.
It's been in existence, as you two gentlemen have indicated, and three gentlemen, significant impact on the ridership and the perception of safety and usability in our community. How do we make that work with a 25% budget? And at this meeting, we had some very serious, very concise discussions. And the consensus at the meeting, because this was August 5th, we were already into our new budget year. So it's not that we had time to reflect, go back, and come back. Our budget, our contract ended June 30th. August 5th, we're at this meeting. And when we looked at a 25% budget, which for all intent and purpose would equate to a number of options, none of them very pretty. When we discussed how this program would work with a 25% budget cut, and then we said, look, we're in August, the middle of the summer, and the summer does have, let us not kid ourselves, definitive impacts on the transportation system. We have children, teenagers, young adults, in larger groups riding the systems than we do during the school year. More often. It is summertime, nonetheless. And we also have a critical point when the school year begins. That's when we go out and try to train the school-age children who use the bus systems and MAX systems before and after school, proper etiquette, proper ridership, so that it's an enjoyable, welcoming experience for the entire community. So we don't have adults and seniors avoiding the system if they think school-age children are on the system. So those are two critical areas that we looked at. And Trimet representatives, Paige and myself, that were engaged in this discussion, came to the realization, as it was approached to us, that perhaps to get us through the two critical points, summertime usage, start of the school year, to keep the program intact with 8 rider advocates until the budget was exhausted, which brings us to the end of September. So, just as a point of clarification.
Sounds like future talks are going to Lynn.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. Safety is an immediate concern. And I want to say for this board that we've had lots of discussion over it. And we had to go to some policing, which we didn't really want to do, but we did. And along with the policing and along with what you have done out there in your group, the crime stats are down, and I want to compliment you all for that. I think it's a tribute to Trimet and your organization, and also the policing that we've had on Trimet, that we brought down the crime stats. I am concerned with that we have to look in the future not to lose the contact with your organization, Mr. Chairman. I think we have to have discussion on that. As we know, money's tough, and we've talked about it all the way through everything we've done here, but it is important that you touch people out there. That's more important to me than money, that you go touch them out there.
You raised a good point, and I just want to leave letting the board know, letting Fred, staff, people at Trimet that we work with, Peggy Hansen over the years, Bruce Fox, Wade, very valuable people in assisting us in promoting the good service that Trimet is intended to provide to our community. But I want to leave you with one critical thing. I don't want you to think for the moment that this relatively small nonprofit organization is just sitting back and doing nothing about this. We're actively engaging the city council to see public funds that can possibly come and inject into Trimet. There are times when you're a small nonprofit that is community-based, you have a tendency at times to get overlooked by the powers that be. We've experienced that with our own city government, whereby, unfortunately, they've forgotten that it's the Northeast Coalition of Neighborhoods Rider Advocate Program and have neglected us in some correspondence. But I want to sit here today and assure you, Paige and myself, under no circumstances, regardless of what is said out there, or regardless of any communique, it is our intent, it is our purpose, it is our desire to get the program back and running. We feel this partnership that we've had with Trimet over the years has done one thing for our community. It's made a much more livable community, has afforded the ability of our residents to safely ride the system and feel a little more engaged in the total activities of our community. So, as I've come here asking for your support, I am coming here giving you our support as well. We are committed to doing whatever we can for the funding issue and the implementation, the continuation of the program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just going to ask Bruce Watts to come up and maybe just add a few words. Bruce has been our contact point from Trimet on this, and if you just add a few words.
Good morning. Fred has asked me to take a active interest in this program. I have a personal perspective. This program was started by an organization that I was the executive director of many years ago. It started as a community volunteer program. It was one that was designed to provide the eyes and ears and that kind of relationship. So the program has a special meaning for me. We are doing everything possible to try to figure out ways that we can resurrect this program. As Fred said, we're in communication with Commissioner Salzman's office, and probably the best thing I can say is we are leaving no stones unturned to look for revenue. We recognize that Trimet, in its financial situation, is not able to provide additional revenue, but we're trying to turn every stone we possibly can to find additional revenue for this program. The commitment from the General Manager's office and from me personally is extremely high for this program. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. I think we are...